Today, a colleague asked me a question that inspired me to make this video. Basically, she asked this question. What if there were a way for me to know exactly how each of the cells in my body is functioning? So that if I had that information, I could prevent major health problems by seeing them coming much earlier. Or if my body isn't functioning well, to know exactly where I stand and how to improve that functioning. That is, what percentage of cells are functioning well, or if there is a percentage that is functioning poorly. How can I know that? And what does it mean if I am well? What things cannot happen in my body? In other words, you will have absolute control over your health because you can prevent any problem before it happens. And you can maintain your health knowing that you are safe from any health danger. Let's go there. First of all, let me show you this page, PubMed. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. If you don't know PubMed, let's quickly ask ChatGPT here so it can tell you the level of reliability of this page. What is the level of reliability, trustworthiness, and prestige of this page? Let's see what it tells us. The PubMed page is highly reliable, trustworthy, and prestigious in the scientific and medical fields. Here I explain why. Reliability and trustworthiness. It is an official source managed by the United States National Library of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health. Peer-reviewed content. It does not directly publish studies, but indexes articles from scientific journals reviewed by the University of Mexico, by peers, which ensures a high level of academic rigor. Authenticity in the information. Each article comes from recognized biomedical journals with clear references and links to original sources. Citations and transparency. It allows access to studies with their respective citations, authors, methods, and detailed results. Prestige. Global use. It is the most used database by scientists, doctors, and researchers worldwide. Linkage with medicine. Most studies come from medicine, one of the most respected medical libraries. Reference in evidence-based medicine. It is the primary source for doctors and health professionals when making clinical decisions. Final considerations. PubMed itself does not publish studies, it only indexes research from medical journals. Not everything that appears in PubMed is necessarily of high quality. Some studies may have biases or limitations. It is important to verify the source of the study before considering it as absolute evidence. If you are looking for reliable health information, PubMed is one of the best sources available. Well, let's go there. Let's do a search, because if we learn to use this tool well, we can stay up to date with everything that is most current and powerful for our health. Let's search for this study. Biochemical, basis, and metabolic interpretation of redox regulation. Don't worry, we'll put it in Spanish now. Let's translate then, so that it isn't one of those with less reliability. Let's make sure where it comes from. This study was published in 2019 in September, 5 years and a bit ago. It's titled Biochemical Basis. In other words, the biochemical basis is, for medicine, the human body is a biochemical machine, and the biochemical basis is the essential foundation of how it works, which ultimately operates based on redox regulation. Who is behind this study to verify if it is more or less reliable? Because everything on PubMed is reliable, but some things are more reliable than others. Center for Metabolic Disease Research at the School of Medicine, University of Tempe, Philadelphia, in the United States. Department of Cardiovascular Medicine at the Memorial Su Yasheng Hospital in China. Department of Pathophysiology at the Zhongshan School of Medicine in China. Key Laboratory of Cardiovascular Diseases without Molecular Intervention, also in China. Well, we see that these are important institutions, therefore, if they are important institutions, it comes from an important journal, which is Redox, Biology. Now we are going to see it, so the information is reliable. What does this study do? What does it tell us? Here we summarize the current knowledge related to the chemical and biochemical characteristics of primary RO species and the corresponding antioxidants. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to translate it into more understandable Spanish for you. We summarize the current knowledge, meaning that this study is a summary of 300,000 previous studies published in PubMed about This, which is related to primary Aros species, what we would commonly call oxidants, are reactive oxygen species, and the corresponding antioxidants, what we would commonly call reducers, commonly in quotes. What does this study tell us? The accumulated evidence from 300,000 studies, firmly indicates that oxidative stress, which is an imbalance between the production of oxidants or active oxygen species and antioxidants in favor of the oxidants. That is, it is an imbalance between negative and positive charge. This imbalance of positive and negative charge within each of the cells plays an important role in the pathogenesis of disease. That is, it is a common factor that is important in the origin of disease in humans. To make it easier to understand this, if we compare it to a battery in a remote control, it is better understood. The battery has negative and positive charge. I put it in the remote control. The remote control works perfectly when the battery is new. The battery starts to wear out, losing negative charge, and then an imbalance occurs. This imbalance of charges will make it so that at some point I have to press 6 or 7 times to change the channel or adjust the volume because the battery is wearing out due to the imbalance of charges, and thus the remote works worse. This imbalance of charges, when it happens similarly in the cells of our body, is called oxidative stress, and it is what has been discovered, after summarizing 300,000 studies, to be at the origin of disease in humans. Well, let's go ahead and see what the study tells us. As you can see, it is published in the journal Redox Biology, and if we go here, we have the summary of the study that summarizes 300,000 studies. And what does it tell us? When the redox potential drops, which basically happens due to aging, all this green you see here, called redox signaling, cannot be activated. What is redox signaling? It is the way the body enables cells to communicate with each other, so that all the cells that make up your body function in harmony, and you have perfect health. When the redox potential is low, it's as if the light of a lighthouse that warns ships they are approaching the coast, loses its power. So by losing power, it may happen that if there is a lot of fog, the ship does not see the lighthouse light and has an accident because it doesn't see the coast with enough advance notice. This happens in aging. Our internal light within our cells starts to dim, so communication begins to fail and some processes cannot be carried out, leading to the aging you are surely familiar with. But when we have a balance of negative and positive charges and an abundance of them, notice the frequency if all of this can be activated. It activates perfectly, and when this is fully activated, you have perfect health. Now, what happens when there is an imbalance of charges, like when the battery in the remote control wears out and doesn't work well? Well, if something doesn't work well, some group of cells doesn't function properly, we have oxidative stress, and if we don't correct it, don't repair it, then instead of turning green, which would keep us in perfect health, it would turn red. And what happens? What can happen if it turns red? Cancer growth, death of healthy cells, liver, meaning liver, viral liver infections, cirrhosis, kidneys are kidneys, whereas nephritis, hypertrophy, fibrosis in the kidneys, lung is lung, COPD, chronic respiratory disease, asthma, pulmonary fibrosis or acute lung disease, brain, stroke, infarction or cerebral stroke, trauma, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, psychiatric problems, blood vessels, atherosclerosis, hypertension, dysfunction, heart, arrhythmias, cardiac fibrosis, blood, leukemia, autoimmune or inflammatory diseases. As the study mentioned, indeed, in the abstract, here we have two. The health problems that are not specified by name end up falling into one of two categories. They are either autoimmune problems or inflammatory. Therefore, we can assert, according to what we see here, that all human health problems are based on a common factor prior to the development of the problem called oxidative stress. This oxidative stress can be corrected. Look at this dotted line. What happens if we balance the charges? Like when the remote control starts to fail, you take out the battery with an imbalance with this oxidative charge. You insert a battery that is perfectly balanced. And then we go from having this oxidative in the remote control to having perfect balance and a perfect redox potential. The same thing can be done in the human body. And when we do that, what happens? That if you were in any of these conditions mentioned here, this little red figure turns off. Because this can only exist if there is this oxidative. So, if we balance this, we turn off the red, turn on the green, and when we turn on the green, what happens? Proliferation, differentiation, and survival of the good cells. And if you notice, this is the opposite. What is said here? Then it says here, liver metabolism, perfect liver detox. Kidneys function perfectly. Lungs function perfectly. Brain, neurogenesis. This means we are going to produce new neurons that function perfectly well, which is the opposite of a neurodegenerative disease. If we turn this off and turn this on, interesting, right? Vessel, blood vessels, angiogenesis, creation of new blood vessels. In fact, one of these molecules, this one up here, nitric oxide, in 1998, a Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded for the discovery of nitric oxide to Luis Ignaro, along with 2 others. Researchers, because they discovered that this molecule was key to preventing any type of circulatory system problem, even heart issues. And angiogenesis means the creation or regeneration of blood vessels, of new blood vessels. The heart functions perfectly, and the blood, pathogen killing, your body is capable of eliminating any pathogen, and through hematopoiesis, we start working with the malfunctioning cells of the bone marrow. Wow. That means that if I turn off the red and turn on the green, my health is protected. I am in danger when the red is on. Now, how can I know if I have the red on or the green on? How can I know? Well, for that, you have to click on this video that I will put up here, or in the first comment that I have pinned below this video, to see exactly how you can check at home in less than 2 minutes if you have the red on or the green on, or in what percentage you have the green more on than the red, or the red more on than the green. Watch the next video, because there will be a before and after in your peace of mind to be able to monitor your health. I'll see you in the next one.